gently, softly sleeping. We've found the Nkuhuma Pride. There's only 3 of them at the moment. And as you can see, they're also taking it quite easy. Oh, lovely. Turn around. Oh, male over there. So they're also just taking it very easy in this rainy weather at the moment. Lions don't always have the most favorable area to get coverage, to hide from the rain. But also being in the wild, it doesn't really bother them too much. You can see they get a little bit itchy, scratching a little bit there. It might have been some water that I've gotten into the ear. I'll just look at the affection there. That one's not very keen on that. Right. But lions from the big cats are one of the only sociable larger cat species out there. And it is very important for them when it comes to their hunting strategies. Lions need to have a very strong bond amongst each other so that when it comes to hunting, they can know exactly the body language of each other, as lions don't really rely on any facial expressions or any vocalization. They clearly only focus on the body language of which one of the members will give off once they've sighted something. One other way of communicating amongst lions, we as guides, we also usually keep a fine eye on the ears of lions as well as the tail. Now, out there in the bush, I know Tristan's been talking quite a lot about insects. I know Tyler talked a lot about birds today, but I'm not sure if you've ever heard of warning coloration. Now, with insects, you'll usually find it that there would be warning colorations such as black, yellow, red or white. Now, amongst mammals, that varies, or it becomes a little bit less. It will usually be black or white coloration. And if you can see carefully on the back of the ear of that lioness over there, which Liam is zooming in on, you can see the black coloration behind the ear. Now, the tip of the tail is also darker, and you would usually find it that when you're walking in the bush and you do come across a lion, and those black stripes behind the ears or black coloration behind the ears are completely displayed, it means that she's not happy. Also, you'll usually find it that the flicking of the tail in a situation like that while displaying those ears would also be a good sign of rather leaving these lions to be in peace. And at the moment, these lions are very, very relaxed. They can't be bothered by anything else. Mama, you're asking whether I've got an update of where the cubs are. Unfortunately, not at the moment. I do know that one set of the cubs, there are 3 sets. One set of the cubs have been born last year in May 2016, and then 2 of the litters were born in June 2016. It could be that they are just hiding in the area where we are not capable of seeing them. So we're just going to make some way quickly here for this vehicle to move out. Sorry about that, everybody. Let's see. It seems like this gentleman has found another way out of the sighting. We'll just give them a moment. But as far as for the cubs, we are not... Alright, okay, so as far we're not too sure where these cubs are, but I'll be back with you in about a minute's time. We're just quickly going to link over to Tristan, as I just need to reposition this vehicle. Hello everyone, we are live again. We've repositioned our vehicle, and while we've been repositioning our vehicle, I know Maima, you've asked earlier where these cubs might be, or whether I've got any reports on these cubs, and guess what? We found them. They are a little bit more in the denser area. It's not the easiest to see them, but you can see the ears and the eyes gently there, and they're just resting with a little bit of more cover over there. And these cubs are about, like I said earlier, one of the litters were born in May 2016 last year, and then two of these litters were born in June 2016 last year. So they're quite a fairly good age. It's still absolutely adorable. I just love lion cubs. They're so sweet. Right, now for cubs, we were talking a little bit earlier on the morning game drive about Karula's two youngsters, Husana and Shungile, and we said that lion or leopard cubs will usually, or the mother will abandon her leopard cubs at the age of 18 months. So that's usually when they're ready to reach adulthood. Oh, one's just lifted a head there. Good afternoon, how are you? Still sleepy? Might have just been a... Christina, you'd like to know how big is a lion's head. Fortunately, I won't be able to go and show you in human size how big these heads are, but I'd reckon if I can, it would probably be about the size of a football or a soccer ball. But obviously the shape is a little bit different. But just, oh, look at those very, very scary teeth. And that really, really rough tongue that we was talking about the leopard this morning. But lions have also got a really rough tongue, and that is also for the purpose of licking flesh loose from the bones or flesh loose from the skin. Now, those canine teeth that we just saw, they are mainly there for the killing. Those are mainly just to get through to the throat or either have a good grip on a nose grab when lions are hunting. But a lion's head is fairly big. With male lions, of course, they look a lot more dominant or a lot more scary with their bigger manes, but obviously if you're going to take that mane away from a male lion, it would be fairly much the same size of a lioness. The male lion's head might be a little bit more muscular, but not much larger from this lioness which we're seeing here. And the main purpose for a male lion having a mane is to protect his neck and his head from when two males might be in a fight. It also grows along the chest area, which are also vital areas to be protected. So that thick hair will actually prevent claws of another opponent from gashing through towards any vital veins that might be close on the surface of the skin. Okay. Stephen, you'd like to know how often lions sleep. Well, to be honest, I think lions sleep more than what they are actually active. But it really does depend from the weather and the temperatures and the conditions. But in general, they say that lions would sleep for about 20 hours of the day, and they'll be active for 4 hours of the day. Now, throughout my experience, I've seen lions being active for longer than 4 hours, and I've seen lions sleeping less than 20 hours as well. So it also just depends. It depends whether lions are really hungry, and whether they are out on a hunt. They will generally be a little bit more active in the search for anything tasty to catch or to hunt. Whereas if lions are full and they've got a kill with them, they would probably sleep and doze off for the next 3 days and finish the kill, which they might be upon. But lions are mainly there to be energy sufficient. They won't just waste energy for no specific reason. Very, very energy sufficient. Let's look how that lioness is grooming her paws. Might be a thorn that she stepped in earlier, or maybe during the period of the week. Still very, very relaxed. So let me carry on further with my story. So earlier I was talking about Karula's cubs, Hosanna and Shondile, which will probably be abandoned by Karula by the age of about 18 months or so. It just all depends. Shondile might leave her mother a little bit earlier. She seems like she's a bit more dependent than Hosanna though. Now, for lion cubs, they also... There comes a time in their life where they need to leave the pride. For lionesses, it's not always the case. A young lioness might stay within the pride, or she might join her brothers and her close cousins, which she were born with. Now, in a case for a young male lion, they would usually have the opportunity to stay within the pride for the first 2.5 to 3.5 years. And then after that, that's when they become sexually matured. And that's also then when they do become a threat to the father or the dominant male, or males as I can say, of that specific pride. That is also when these fathers or these dominant males will then usually let these cubs know that it is time to go. It's almost like parents trying to tell their teenagers as soon as they finished with high school to get out of the house. Now's the time to be dependent and by yourself. Anna, you'd like to know how long male coalitions will spend with their pride. Now, it also all depends on the density of other male lions that might be in the area. And basically, the dominant male lions of a pride is there to make sure that the lionesses are kept safe, and should there be cubs, that the cubs are also kept safe. So during the younger years of the cubs and the lionesses, you'll find it that the males will generally tend to spend quite a lot of time with them. But then also, the male's duty is also to patrol its territorial boundaries and make sure that there's no other unfamiliar males that might move into the area, which might be capable of overpowering that specific coalition or that specific male of the pride. And then maybe, most likely, kill his offsprings, and as well as harming his lionesses of his pride or their pride from him. Right, so everybody, you asked earlier about the head size of a lioness, or how big is the head of a lioness, and I'm going to link over to Tristan. Tristan would be able to explain you a lot better what the size of a lion's head is. Right, so over to Tristan.
We've managed to get some of the skulls out now. James has got a fantastic collection of skulls, so I've lined them all up here just so you can get a sort of size comparison between them. So Christina, I believe you were wondering the size of a big cat, or particularly a lion's skull in relation to the others. So we've got the lion on the right, which you can see is absolutely massive. It is huge. If you see the size of my hand in comparison to it, it is really, really big. You can see massive structural positioned here. So this is where the muscles will come down that control the jaw, and then that crest bone where they have more muscles. And if we go to the left of that one, then we have a leopard that's over here. So that is the leopard skull. And then we have, as far as I understand, I just need to check with James, but there's a cheetah, and then right at the end, Simon the Serval with his little hat and his marula eyes. So that gives you a little bit more of a size indication of how much bigger they are. So if we take the lion's head itself, I was saying to you that you can see the size now. If I put it next to me, you can imagine how much power this animal has got. And if we open it up, you can see, look at those jaws and those teeth. The teeth are absolutely amazing. They are massive. And that is a sight you would not want to see. If you saw that, you're going to have a bit of a problem if you were this close. Now, I was saying to you earlier, you can see on the sides here, there's a massive gap between these two bones. Now this is where there's going to be muscles that are going to come up and they're going to cover this whole area. There's this ridge that runs along here, and there's going to be massive, huge muscles that pack in here, and that is going to be able to control the bite force of this lion. And so that's why lions can bite down and cause huge amounts of damage on the prey or meat that they are trying to get to. So really, really cool to see. The other nice thing about having these skulls is that we can actually see the dental structure. So from the side here, you can see these are the big canines. So those are obviously used when they are killing the animal. They puncture in, and they can either sever the arteries or just close that windpipe down, or the nostrils of that animal, and just suffocate it altogether. But then if you look on the sides here, you have a very different tooth structure. They're almost somewhat similar to what a shark has, these triangular teeth. And basically what happens is that these teeth overlap slightly, and so it's called carnassial shear. And basically what happens is, as this lion moves its jaw, so it goes up and down like this, it's cutting and slicing using those triangular shaped teeth, slicing little chunks of meat that it's then able to swallow and manage. The canines then become absolutely useless when the feeding process begins. These teeth in the front here, you can see, are a little bit different as well. And I don't know if you've ever seen lions when they groom one another, they often use their teeth, they curl back their lips and they use these teeth. And these teeth are perfect for just pulling off small little things. So they can pull off ticks with that, get rid of bits of fur on animals if they don't want to eat the fur. And so that's what those are for. But a really incredible dental structure, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. You can also see here, I'm busy looking at it myself, there's the size of this eye area as well, massive eye space, so that they can see really, really well. So there we go. I hope that gives you a little bit more of a comparison when it comes to size and the differences between all of these big cats and how much bigger the lion really is than everybody else. It's basically double the size of all the others in terms of the comparativeness between them all. Now, while here is our map, I need to just add Djuma in here. So this is basically where we are, is somewhere around here. Now, my map is not exactly accurate. It's just a rough idea of what I was talking about earlier and where the prides that we are seeing currently are distributed. So you can actually see at the moment the Nkuhuma Pride have shifted way north. Had you seen this map in the dry period, so during the drought, the Nkuhumas probably would have been more along the lines of that. All right, they were really localized around Djuma, but they have now shifted out into the Manyeleti game reserve, so they've gone in here. And the reason why is because the grass that grows in the Manyeleti is really, really good quality. And so we have a number of buffalo there, and that's why the Nkuhumas have moved. They specialize in buffalo, and so they've pushed up there. Now, while it's been a bit sad that we haven't seen much of the Nkuhumas, it's been good because it's allowed the hyenas to come back. So you can see just south of them is the sticks. And then what I did is I didn't do any of the other really big prides of females, but I put all the males in. So you can see at the moment the Birminghams are all here. The Majingalans have an absolutely massive territory. They control this whole western side. Then there's the coalition of two, the Matsupiri males, and then down in the south is where all the changes are happening. So you've got the Charleston males, which are two, and then you've got these new males. So the two new ones that arrived yesterday, and then the 5 that have been coming in over the last month. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Now, historically, in the time that I've spent in the Sabi Sands, these southern males never push northwards. All right, I've never seen any of the southern males starting to come up, and that's probably because they have the two rivers down at the bottom, so a lot of prey animals down there, also quite a few prides to dominate, and it's been because they've had the Majingolans and the Matimbas right in the north, which has made it a lot more difficult for them to come up. Now that they're all weakening, it's going to be very interesting. I wonder if these five are not going to start looking further afield and seeing what they can find deeper into the Sabi Sands. All right, and so that's a little bit of the lion dynamics. Let's go back to Yanni's with the lions and see what they're up to.
I'm sure that you've now seen the size of a lion's head. I believe that Tristan have also shown you the size of the canines, and he's also showed you where all of the lion pride's territorial areas are, where they're roaming. So we're just sitting here watching one of the Nkuhuma females grooming herself at the moment, just making sure she's clean. She might know that the males might be arriving, and if I believe it, no. David, you would like to know whether lions really lick their paws before hunting. I've never experienced or seen that a lion will lick its paws before it hunts. I think it's mainly more just a grooming behavior which they have had, and they will groom their feet whenever they feel that it is needed, usually on days like this when lions will be sleeping and just before they actually get active. That is when you'll find when they will be grooming herself. So if you think about it, she's been lying in the rain the whole day. They've also been walking around quite a bit. This is about the time that lions will usually get active. So we probably, if the sun was shining, the sun would have probably started setting already. And it's just basically a sign of them. Look at those two also getting a little bit active, kicking each other there. But yeah, it's just a sign that they are getting ready to start to get active. All right. Those two youngsters seem as if they are very, very lazy at the moment. It's almost like in the mornings when you have to get up for school or get ready for work, and that alarm goes off and you just wish that you can put it on a snooze for 5 more minutes. This is what this reminds me about at the moment. Feet in the air, just the last little snooze. Right. Should these lions I don't really think that they will be hunting, but they might be moving just from one area to the other. You can see that there was one lying down who gave a yawn just now. Canis from Canada. What is the biggest threat to a pride of lions? Canis, to a pride of lions, it would probably be a very, very, very large coalition of males. Once again, it really do differ from area to area and the group dynamics of specific prides or over South Africa. But let's take, for example, there's a lion pride who's got 2 very healthy dominant males within the pride, and let's say, for example, 6 or 7 lionesses. Should there be a coalition of 4 to even 6 males within a new coalition who is looking to overtake a territory, both the setted dominant pride with the 2 male lions and then the 6 lionesses will be at threat. Of course, those two male lions, or the dominant males, will be taken over, or they will be kicked out of the pride. And then, should the lionesses not be submissive, it could also be a dangerous situation for the lionesses itself. Otherwise, something else which will probably be capable of wiping out a complete pride of lions, males along with lionesses, would probably be a severe disease, which is not very often heard from. You can see there's quite a lot of yawning going on, a little bit of stretching from the two youngsters there. The cubs are still very much at ease and very pleased to have a little bit more of a cover in this rain. And this lioness is fast asleep. Oh, she's just woken up there. This lion on the right hand side reminds me of a dog scratching himself sitting on a lawn. Looks rather enjoyable though. Just a little bit behind the ear. So Pamela, you'd like to know when the cubs would be safe from other males. So the cubs are currently safe from other males as long as they stay with their mothers within the given territory of their pride. And these cubs will then be basically safe up until the age of 2.5 to 3.5 years. Unless there might be a possibility of another coalition of males that might be moving in. But I think here in the Sabi Sand area, I'm sure there's quite a lot of people that are familiar with the Birmingham boys. I don't know the Birmingham boys very well, but I do know that they are a very powerful coalition of males. And look here, one of the lionesses have just called the cubs. Look, everyone, they're coming out. Just a little bit of greeting going on there. Sorry, everybody. Isn't this just adorable? It's almost hard to think that if you look at these lions like this, the bonding that's going on, and the gentle greetings, the head rubs, that you almost think that lions are harmless. There's a little bit of a yoga pose over there, good old stretch on the back. Everybody's getting rid of a few ticks that might have been climbing on top of them during the day. There's quite a bit of talking that's going on. Right, everybody, while we're waiting for these lions, the cubs and the lionesses, to see what they are going to get up to, I'd like to link over to Tristan and see what he is up to in the tent. Seems like these lions are just lazy and grooming themselves. This little cub earlier, we were watching him, and he was literally just grooming, because grooming is grooming. He probably groomed 3 of the individuals that's right there, and and he has the opportunities to still feed off mom. Well, it might not be mom, I'm not too sure. Usually within a pride of lions, the aunts or the rest of the lionesses will also usually help to nurse the cubs of the one specific mother. So it's not really much of a problem. But usually at this age, like, these cubs have got fairly sharp teeth already, so it can get a little bit sensitive for the females at sometimes. Sorry everybody, I've developed like a really nasty cough throughout this afternoon. Leslie, you'd like to know when a male lion reaches his prime time. That will usually be between the ages of 4 and 5, let's say 4.5 to 5 years. It all really just depends also on the specific area, because like I've explained earlier, once the young male cubs leave the pride, or get kicked out of the pride by the dominant males or the fathers, they live a nomadic lifestyle, and living that specific nomadic lifestyle, they walk around in no man's land, and they also walk amongst other dominant or territorial areas of other lions. So should these young males be seen by a dominant territorial male lion, they would usually either try and kill these unknown young male lions or just chase them away. So these young males then need to fend themselves, or a young male then usually need to fend themselves and make very sure that they don't land up under the claws of another dominant male lion that might either kill them and prevent them from reaching their adulthood or their prime time, as you would say. So if you kind of think about it, young male lions have got it pretty tough, but for the lionesses it might be a little bit easier. Here we go, mama's boy. See, this cub still have got nothing to worry about. So, you'd like to know whether males' mane turns grey as they get old. Sarah, no, the mane does not get grey as these male lions get older. It might happen that it loses a little bit of the volume of the mane itself, and they might lose a few pieces of hair, but not really too much. The coloration of the mane won't change too much from its original color. And you also find that there's different colors of manes. I think earlier today on the show I was talking a little bit of lucidism, but that's going to extremities. You'll sometimes find that male lions will have pitch black manes. Some male lions will only have a tawny colored mane, and some might have like a golden color. And that's all got to do with the genes or the genetics of the specific lion pride family. So he's looking all straight in the eye. One lioness at the back is giving a contact calling there. She's not, it's like almost like a half-hearted roar that she's getting. One of the cubs have moved back into the bush just to the left of these lionesses, and I think she might just be calling these cubs to move closer to them. Vanessa, you from Los Angeles, you'd like to know whether a lioness can survive on her own without a pride. Vanessa, yes, a lioness can survive on her own, as she is perfectly capable of hunting by herself. But then there would also, once again, I was talking quite a lot about it all depends on the density of predators in the specific area. But in general, yes, a lioness is pretty much capable of looking after herself. Isn't this lovely? Hey everybody, I don't think these lions are going to get very active throughout the evening, maybe only much later. But this has been an absolutely great surprise for the afternoon that we had, from miserable wet birds to Tristan's interesting talks and investigations on insects. I know he was quite excited about this afternoon. You see this lioness is contact calling again. Come on, kids. It seems like she stopped calling, or contact calling. There's another good old stretch. A bit of a head rub. Let's just see where these guys are going. Oh, alright, it's only gone to the bathroom. Alright everybody, so from my side, thank you very much. I'm going to be linking over to Taylor just for an update from her side. Alright, so it seems like these Nkuhumas have decided to have a early lie-in evening, or let's say, rather say a late evening lie-in. You can say it like that. All three lionesses seems fairly much, well, almost fast asleep, with one cub over there. And the lioness with her head up at the moment, they're still contact calling the cubs, really just a few meters away from her. She might be calling them for the reason, maybe for body heat, maybe she keep be up to about 80 meters or so. I think also depending on the specific area which you're in, if it's dense bush or so, the call won't travel that far. If it's open cleared areas and open plains, of course the sound will travel a lot further. But when lions do roar, the sound can travel as far as 6 to 8 kilometers away from where these lions are calling. And that is just absolutely incredible. And the way how they get that right is when they produce their sound, so almost where a man's apples Adam would be, there are 3 cartilage bones vertically situated. So when a male lion starts breathing in and he presses this air from its stomach and from his lungs through the air box. These 3 cartilage bones basically forces that air through the voice box, which then basically give the phenomenal roar and the phenomenal sound of what a male lion can give. A lioness's roar can travel just as far as that, and the sound that she produces is also exactly the same way. Right. Of course, lions also make a few other sounds, or produce another few other sounds. Of course, there's the contact calling, which we just talked about. There's roaring, there's snarling as well. And it's fairly much most of the sounds which I've heard lions make before. Well, just before we close, I'm going to link over to Tristan. It doesn't seem as if these lions are going to do anything active this afternoon, but let's follow up again in the morning safari live drive.